Peace and shalom, Israel. Before we start the lesson, hit the notification button because we upload lessons every week and I don't want you to miss a single one of them. Like, comment, subscribe, and if there's a topic you would like for us to cover, we'll see what we can do. So until next time, cue the music. All praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And peace to everyone joining us on this program. This is a Fountain of Israel Bible Studies program. And as always, it's an honor for me to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. So the name of today's lesson is Honor the Hoary Head. Honor the hoary head, because there's not a whole lot of messages that teach the reverence and respect for our aged brothers and sisters. And oftentimes, especially in today's society, it may feel as though there's no value for those who are older, those who have gone through life experiences and things like that. Now, I know some people may think, well, not all old people, are wise and things like that, but that is not the point. We're supposed to give them due honor. They've gone through a lot, they've gone through a few things, and there's always something that we can learn from those who have gone out before us. Amen. Mm-hmm. So let's always keep that in mind. And besides that, above all else, it is actually a commandment to honor them. It really is. It's a commandment to honor them. That's part of our law, that we're supposed to just honor them. Now, honor them could just simply be respect. Just a level of respect. Because they said in the last days that a whole lot of respect and honor and love is going to be out the window. And we truly are living in those days. But I will show you that it is a law, and we will begin our lesson. So with that, join me over in Leviticus 19. Leviticus 19. Okay, Leviticus 19. And I will begin over in 32. Leviticus 19 and 32, which reads, Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head, and honor the face of the old man, and fear thy God. I am the Lord. Now, we want to look in the Strong's and look at the hoary head. So when I look that up in the Strong's, it is 7872. It's Hebrew 7872. And let's see what it says. It's Seba in the Hebrew. And the description is age, gray hair, hoary head, old age, or gray hair, hoary head again, and then old age. So that's what it is. It means old age or gray hair. We're supposed to honor them. So you get up and honor them. Just show a little respect. That's it. Just show a little respect. It's not that hard to do. And yet, there's many laws like that are pretty simple to do. Let's just show a little respect. I know a lot of people, they have objections. Oh, well, if you knew my mom and you knew my dad and all that, sometimes if you were at strife with, the elders or something, you can walk away. You can walk away, because one of the things that you can honor them is that, let's say you are upset with them, you are cross with them. The most honorable thing for you to do is not to fight them and go tooth and nail with them. Sometimes it's just walk away. Just walk away. But let us continue. Let us continue. Join me over in Exodus 20. You guys know that. It's all too familiar. That's where we get our 10 Commandments. And of course, you guys may have guessed where we're going. So go to Exodus chapter 20. And I'm just going to read one verse when we get there. Okay? Exodus chapter 20. And I'm going to read verse 12. Now, check this out. Verse 12, you guys heard it before. It's honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Now, this is one of those commandments where it has a promise to it, okay? It tells you the reward, that you may have long days, okay? If you honor your mother and father. Just showing a little bit of honor, okay? So, with that, we're going to continue, and that will be in Psalm 90. Okay, we've got to jump around a little bit, but there'll be some parts in here where we will slow down for you guys and sit tight. So right after Job, let's go to Psalm 90. Psalm 90, if you will. And when I get to Psalm 90, there we go. And I will be reading verse 10. Psalm 90 and 10, which reads, "The days of our years are 80 years and 10." So we're talking 70 years old, okay, on average. That's what we're living today, so it's interesting. "And if by reason of strength," meaning if you got enough strength, "they be 80 years." So 80 years. You could get to 80 years old. "Yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off, and we fly away." But look at what it says. We're probably about 70, 80 years old. That's how long we're going to live. 70, 80 years old. So if someone gets to that age, they have lived a ripe old age. Obviously, there are exceptions. Some people go to 90. Some people go to 100. It's just not a lot. Okay, so if you get 80, you're doing pretty good. And you have a nice long life full of years. We know in other places in the Bible, he said that, okay, my spirit won't strive with man. His years will be 120. Not many people live in 120 today. Okay, can't find one. So you live about 80 years or so, you're doing really good, and you've had a full life. Okay, you're full of days, full of years. So let's take a look. Drop down to verse 12 here. Same chapter. We're going to go to verse 12. "So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts unto wisdom." And that, my friend, that is $1 million statement there, because that's when we understand. For instance, example, from birth to 90, it's only 32,000 years. I mean days, 32,000 days. Matter of fact, I had that math worked out. I'm going to do it again. So we're going to go 365 times 90 years, 32,850 days. That's how many days we have from birth until 90. Not that many. 32,850 days. That's why this time is so precious. And what we're supposed to be gathering as we spend those days, we're supposed to gain wisdom. That's what we're supposed to do. So you can't allow your old age to be for nothing. You have to gain some understanding. You have to gain some sobriety. You have to gain some wisdom. How many people say all the time, if I knew then what I know now? It's supposed to be that way. It is supposed to be that way, brothers and sisters. That's how we gain our wisdom, by spending our days, by being observant, by paying attention. And one of our commandments, by honoring the elderly, honoring the hoary head. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. Just go up 2 books. Ecclesiastes chapter 7. Let's start at verse 1. "A good name is better than precious ointment," and pay attention, "and the day of death than the day of one's birth." Because at that time you have lived a full life. You were able to gather up wisdom and experience. At least you're supposed to. You have that opportunity to gain that wisdom and that experience. Your opportunity to leave behind a legacy. The fruit of your body, that's part of your legacy. The impact that you leave on other people, that's part of your legacy. When we have someone who passes away prematurely, a young child, 4 or 5 years old, they don't have full of days. They didn't have that opportunity, the opportunity that you and I have right now. We don't know how long we'll be here. But as long as you're here, you're supposed to do something with it. You're supposed to gain that wisdom. Okay, let's just read a little bit more. "It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to heart, as we should. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better." Meaning, you know how when someone cry and they lament and they mourn, it says therapeutic. That's what it means right here. Verse 4, "The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth." If you just always merrymaking and celebrating and not taking or not gathering the gravity of certain situations. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under the pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger rested in the bosoms of fools. Absolutely. And let's finish up at 10. Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? For thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. Now what he is saying is that, okay, don't say that, oh, the good old days, because we have a lot of that. Oh, the good old days, the good old days. He said that's not coming from wisdom. Okay, that's not a wise, it's really not a wise saying, oh, everything was better then. There's a plan going forth. Okay, time is always pushing forward, always pushing forward. And sometimes we spend so much time lamenting over the good old days, and we're not living today. We're not doing what we should be doing today. Sometimes, some people, have you ever met someone, they're just stuck in the past, and that's it, they're just stuck. There's nothing you can do, but you cannot go back. Nothing you can do about it. So always staying and sticking to, oh, the good old days, and oh, back in my day, you have that whole little attitude where it's just, back in my day, it was better. Life was so much better. I've been guilty of it. I think we all been guilty of it because it was just better at that time. But what are you going to do with today? There's an opportunity, that experience that the hoary head has. There's an opportunity for you to sit at their feet and actually learn something. Get something. Glean something. Get something. You may learn what to do, or you may learn what not to do. Either way, you learn something, right? Let us continue. Let's continue. Go to Genesis 25. Genesis 25. Genesis 25 and verse 7. And these are the days, and we're going to come back here a little bit later, but and these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 175. 175 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. So this is what we're talking about here. And we're going to come back to that a little bit later, but I wanted you to understand. Abraham lived 175, good old age, full of years. Okay, good old age, full of years. And I'm sure we can all agree that he was a wise and righteous man. Okay, Proverbs chapter 16. Proverbs chapter 16. And let me get verse 31. Proverbs 16:31. The hoary head, or the aged, or the gray hair. The hoary head is a crown of glory, if it be found in the way of righteous. So there's a caveat. That if people, they ignore that little if. But it says the hoary head is a crown of glory, if it be found in the way of righteousness. So you have a righteous older person, and you may have a wicked old person. But today we have a lot of vanity where people are fighting the gray hair. They're constantly coloring their hair, so they just, I don't want to appear old and all. But Scripture says the hoary head is a crown of glory. That gray hair is a crown of glory. Distinguishes you. It's an honor. It should signify your wisdom and your righteousness. It should signify this. And it's an honor. The hoary head is a crown of glory if it be found in the way of righteousness. If it be found in the way of righteousness. Keep that in mind. That's why I keep emphasizing it. Keep that in mind. Psalm. Let's go back one book. Go to the Psalms. Psalms, and the chapter I want is 71. Psalm 71 and the verse 18. Now also, when I am old and gray-headed, O God, forsake me not, until I have showed thy strength unto this generation, and thy power to everyone that is to come. And this is that testimony that when in your even in his old age, he said, don't forsake me, don't go away from me, even in my old age, because I want an opportunity to tell this generation about you and the generation to come, of course, in the writings. I want to tell the generation about you and the generation to come. There's value in the hoary head. There is value there. You're not collecting all this experience for nothing. It is to pass it on. Now, don't get me wrong. The younger generation, they will hear and some will forbear. We understand, but the Most High knows that. The Most High knows that. But you're not collecting all this experience. You're not collecting all that. Guess what? Again, this is the only way you can pass on your wisdom. This is the only way you can instruct those behind you. You can instruct them from your mistakes, or you can instruct them from your victories. But you can instruct them both ways. It's not about being perfect. That person does not exist on the earth today. Meaning without flaw. Of course, there's perfect in righteousness and that kind of thing. Meaning, you're just walking in righteousness and you are practicing righteousness. Meaning you're sinning less and less and less and less. Now that, the Lord call that righteous, but imperfect. But that's what I'm saying. You can either teach from your experience, from your gray hairs, what to do or what not to do. It's the only way we teach. Or through experimentation. It's the only way we can instruct, the only way we can teach. There's nothing else. There's value in the hoary head and we should honor it. Let's continue. We are in Psalm 71. Let's go to Proverbs. I got two places in Proverbs I want to get. Proverbs chapter 20. Proverbs chapter 20. Proverbs 20, and I want verse 29. The glory of young men is their strength, and the beauty of old men is the gray head. And yet, there's a whole lot of just for men going on, and a whole lot of washing out the gray going on. But this is your glory. This is the beauty. The beauty of old men is the gray head. And it's coming from one of the wisest persons to ever have lived. Okay, so the glory of young men is their strength. This is what they boast in. When you were younger, you bounce back from injuries. You can go all day. I remember I was a teenager, 18, 19, 20 years old. Endless amount of energy. Walk around, do stuff, hanging with my friends and playing basketball and doing all kinds of stuff. Stop, take a break, get something to eat, get something to drink. Boom, we're back at it again. Playing sports, basketball, football, bumps and bruises, rough and tumble. It's just crazy. That's our beauty. That's our glory, our strength, our vigor, our vitality. We recover. Boom, you get up, you're up and out the door. It's just, that is that glory, right? But now, not so much. The physical part of it, not so much. We get up and we got to give ourselves a motivational speak just to start doing stuff. You got to talk to ourselves, positive self-talk. You got to make sounds when you're getting up and you're getting up and all that. It changes a little bit. Some of us, we hate getting older because we feel limited. And sometimes we feel that our worth is in our youth. They say in sports, Father Time is undefeated. He is, because you're not going to be able to do what you were doing when you were 20. Now that you're 40, 50, 60, it's a little tougher. But then again, that's not necessarily your glory. That part is not your glory. Your glory is that hoary head, that gray head, because of the experience and the knowledge and the compassion and all the things that was compacted in your years, in your decades. All those things, they have value. But the question is, do you value it? We know that others sometimes won't value it, but do you value it? Because the scripture says this is your glory. This is your beauty. So how do you feel about it? Honor the hoary head. We're still in Proverbs. Go to chapter 17. Chapter 17. And I'm going to get verse 6. Children's are the crown of old men. So children's children. Grandchildren's are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. This is their glory. That, you know why? Because that lineage, that legacy that we get to leave behind. That legacy for those. So I encourage you, for those who have, like there it says, children, okay? Those who, if you have your grandparents and your parents, honor them. Go talk to them. Sit at their feet for just a little while. If they ramble, let them talk. Why should all that experience, all that wisdom, there may be one nugget. They could talk to you for 2 hours and maybe one nugget, but why should that one nugget go with them to the grave when you can use that? So for us who still have their grandparents, go get that nugget. Go treasure hunting with them. Talk to them. That one thing could be that one spark of inspiration. That one thing could be the little tidbit of information you needed. And if you're lucky, one day you may be the hoary head. So all that is contained in you. Why just take it to the grave? What good is it going to do you in the grave? Share that wisdom. Pass it on. This is our glory. Children's children are the crown of old men, and the glory of children are their fathers. See, the scripture is really talking about us honoring one another. This is what it should be when you're passing these things on. There's a little bit of wisdom, that little bit of warning, that little bit of motivation or inspiration. Question is, on the one hand, will the hoary head respect that and understand that that experience is to be passed on? And will the younger generation appreciate that there's something in there that they can learn, that they can glean? Let's continue. We're in Proverbs. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. See, 2 Corinthians chapter 4, actually. 2 Corinthians chapter 4. Just going to read one verse over there. And that verse will be verse 16. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 16, which reads, "For which cause we faint not, but through our outer man, but though our outer man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day." The inward man, that inner spirit, that inner mind, because our outward man, our flesh, will soon decay. We will age, and we will pass on. But there is value in you aging, and I just talked about that. There's value in it because internally, you can be renewed. You never have to start learning. You never have to stop getting better inside. You never have to stop. There's no age limit on renewing your spirit. There's no age limit on renewing your mind. There's no age limit on that. You can keep doing that. For which cause we faint not, but though our outward man perish, yet the inward man is renewed day by day. Is renewed day by day. Let's keep that in mind. Let's remember that. Okay, now let's talk about something real quick over in Ecclesiastes. Okay, Ecclesiastes, and we're going to read a couple of verses there. So Ecclesiastes chapter 12. Okay, Ecclesiastes chapter 12. I'm going to pick it up at 1. "Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. And those that look out the windows be darkened, though the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Also, when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail. Because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about the streets. Or ever the silver cord be loose, or the golden bow be broken, or the pitchers be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it." So this is when it's all over. This is given like a metaphor, the course of life. When all these things tend to pass away or fade away. When all these things are all said and done. And then we all return to our home. We all return to the earth as it was. And the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Because we know in the beginning it says, and God breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. So we know, so when that spirit, it returns over to God, we turn to the earth, and all these things happen in between. And that's what we have. That's what we have. We have birth, and then we return to the dust. So what are you going to do with that time in between? It's just like they say when you have it on your headstone, on your tombstone, it says the birth and it says your death, and that little dash, that's all you have. So what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with that dash? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And the way you can curve a few mistakes? Glean and get that wisdom from those who went before you. Those who have more experience than you. Because wisdom is truly supposed to come with age. It's supposed to. So you can get so much further faster by simply doing that. Honor the hoary head. Go and get some wisdom. Go get some understanding. Oh, this elder doesn't know? Okay, try another one. Deuteronomy chapter 34. Deuteronomy chapter 34. And when I get to chapter 34, I will begin at verse 1. Deuteronomy 34 and verse 1. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountains of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the lands of Judah unto the utmost sea, and the south, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, unto Zoar. And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither. So Moses, the servant of God, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Beth Peor. But no man knoweth of his sepulchre unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eyes was not dim, nor his natural force abated. His energy, his strength, none of that was abated. He didn't lose any of that. Still full of strength, still full of vigor. And the Lord wanted him to see. In his old age, he still wanted him to see. Hey, all this that you guys went through, the 40 years in the wilderness and coming out of Egypt, and you leading my nation, my children, my people, up to this point, I still wanted you to see it. Now, you're not going over there. That's not my plan for you, but I want you to see it. Even in his old age, he still got 120. I still wanted you to see it. And he wasn't so weak and so feeble that he couldn't really understand and enjoy what he was looking at, that he was witnessing. So before he went to sleep with his fathers, he got to see the promise. He took him up to this place and then he said, okay, look, I want you to see, look, all this, this is what I was telling you about. This is where they're going to go. This is the land that I promised Abraham. I'm keeping my word to you, even in his old age. See, you can still be used in your old age. You can still be used. He can still bless you. He can still glorify you. He can still use you. There's some things that he wants from you that you're probably not going to be able to do it until you get to that age. Stay focused. You are of use. You're still a servant. There's still value there. Let's go on over to Genesis. Chapter 15. Genesis 15 and 1. Which read, After these things the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield, exceeding great reward. And Abram said, Lord God, what wilt thou give me, seeing as I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus? And Abram said, Behold, to me thou hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, This shall not be thine heir, but he that shall come forth out of thy own bowels shall be thine heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heavens and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall thy seed be. And he believed in the Lord, and it counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am the Lord that brought thee out of Ur of the Chaldeans, to give thee this land to inherit it. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcasses, Abram drove them away. And when the sun was going down, and deep sleep fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards they shall come out with great substance. Now we remember this in the Exodus, right? We remember this coming out of Egypt. 15. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in peace. Thou shalt be buried in a what? A good old age. In a good old age. So actually getting old is a blessing. I mean, your life didn't get cut short, meaning you had a life full of years. He told him what was going to happen and everything. And then he said, you're going to be buried in a good old age. How many people life get cut short way too soon? Like we said, you live 70, 80 years old, you're full of days, you're full of years. There's no gone too soon. You hit 70, 80, 90. That's not gone too soon. That's a life full of days, full of years. Let's keep that in mind. So we're still Genesis. We're going to go 2 more places in Genesis. Go to chapter 24 in Genesis. Chapter 24. Let me just get one verse and then I'm going to go over to 25. Chapter 24. Okay, he said he's going to do it in a good old age. Now watch this in 24 and verse 1, and then we're going to move on. And Abraham was old and well stricken in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. So he did that, right? Now watch this. Now let's go to 25. We're going to start 25. Now look at this. Watch this. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. Okay, this is his second wife. And then Abraham, actually third wife. There was Abraham and Hagar, and then Keturah. So this is his third wife. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah. And she bare him Zimram, and Joksham, and Medan, and Midian, and Ishbak, and Shua. And Joksham began Sheba and Dedan. And the sons of Dedan were Ashuram, and Letushim, and Lumin. And the sons of Midian, Ephah, and Ephah, and Hanak, and Abidah, and Eldaha. And all these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac. But unto the sons of the concubine which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived, eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived, 160 years. 175 years, people. 175 years. Then Abraham gave up the ghost and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. Good old age, right? Good old age, old man and full of years. So it's not a shame you see someone who's elderly. It's not a bad thing. Okay? It's not a bad thing. He said a good old year. We're talking about 175. You got people scoffing at people who are 70. Okay? This 175. And he's still, it's interesting, he's still making kids. He's still having a bunch of kids. It's interesting. 175. But we know biologically men could father children until death. Okay? Until death. So, again, still blessed him. Still blessed. The children's children. So Abraham is being blessed. And he said, you know, your children to be like the sand of the sea kind of thing. And we're talking generations and generations and generations. Still counts as their children. Your grandchildren still counts as your children because they fall in your line. So we're at Genesis 25. So now let's go to Psalm 92. Psalm 92. And I will read verse 12. The righteous, talking about righteous people, the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. And those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of God. Shall flourish in the courts of God. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing. They shall still bring forth fruit in old age. And we saw that he was, with Abraham, what, 175, still flourishing. So the scriptures they're agreeing one to another right now. They're agreeing one to another. So let's go on over to Luke, okay? Luke chapter 2. I want to look at something here. It's not just Luke chapter 2. Okay, go to chapter 2. Just want to show you guys something. Luke chapter 2, and I'm going to start over in verse 36. So I want to show you, this is not just a one-sided, male-only thing. Let me show you something over here. Luke chapter 2, and I'm going to read 36. And look at this. It says, and there was one, Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of great age and had lived with a husband 7 years from her virginity. So she had a husband for 7 years from her virginity, and she was a widow for about 84 years. Okay, so she was a widow for a long time. Okay, and then it says, which departed not from the temple, but served God with fasting and prayers night and day. Night and day. And look at 38. And she coming in that instant gave thanks likewise unto the Lord, and spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. This woman was wise, she was aged, and this pleased the Lord. This is what she called her, a prophetess and everything. And the people, she was a widow for a long time, okay? For 80 she was a widow. She had her husband for about 7 years. Then he died. But she still served the Lord, still kept going. And then started encouraging other people. Look at that. Look at that in 38. And she coming in that instant gave thanks likewise unto the Lord, and spake of him to all them that looked for redemption in Jerusalem. Doesn't matter. He can use anyone at any age. But this particular woman, when you look at 36, was of great age. And there was one Anna, a prophetess, the daughter of Phanuel of the tribe of Asher. She was of a great age. Still valuable. Still valuable. Can imagine you were going to that temple and you were looking for redemption. You're looking for redemption. You walk in, and there she is. She's telling you exactly what you need to do, how to serve the Lord. Anybody who would listen. Anyone who would listen. It's up to you, brothers and sisters. Okay? Do one other, let's go back to, we'll go to 1 Timothy in a minute, but let's go on back over to Deuteronomy real quick. Let me go to Deuteronomy. Let's get 32. Deuteronomy 32. When I get to 32, I am going to pick it up at verse 1. Deuteronomy 32 and 1, which reads, give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain, my speech shall distill as the dew, as a small rain upon the tender herb, and as the showers upon the grass, because I will publish the name of the Lord. Ascribe ye greatness unto our God. He is the rock, his work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment, a God of truth and without iniquity, just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. Do ye thus requite the Lord, O foolish people and unwise? Is not thy Father that has brought thee? Okay, is he not the Father who has made you, created you? Has he not made thee and established thee? Remember the days of old, Consider the years of many generations. So think about it. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. So ask your fathers, he'll show you. Ask the elders, and they will tell you about the goodness. How many times, there's many of us right now, there's many of us that we're in our 30s and our 40s and our 50s, and we think back. We dismiss so much information that our parents have told us. And how many times you've been doing something or something happens and then you realize like, oh, I sound like my father right now. I sound like my mother right now. It happens. That witness, they are depositing. They're depositing things into you and I. You find yourself sounding like them or saying something that they would say because they're depositing in you right now. And oftentimes we dismiss whatever they say. We just dismiss, and it comes back to you. So let me encourage all the parents out there. Let me encourage the hoary head out there. As long as you have the opportunity, as long as they will listen, keep depositing your wisdom. It may help them later. It may come back. That's why it says it, train up a child in the way they should go, and they will never depart from it. Now, they will depart from it, and then something happens in their life, and then they will remember something you deposited. But what if you didn't deposit it? What if you didn't tell them? What if you didn't tell them? How many of us as adults maybe heard something from our parent or our grandparent or something, we ignored it, went through something in life happens, and then we say to ourselves, man, I should have listened. Maybe I should have listened to that advice. Maybe I should have. It's like in that ironic song with Alanis Morissette. They say it's like good advice I just didn't take. Just didn't listen. Happens to us all. As I said before, we're going to go to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy. And I'm going to go to chapter 5. 1 Timothy chapter 5. Now, when I get to 1 Timothy chapter 5, I'm going to begin it at 1. We're going to do 1 through 4. So it says, rebuke not an elder, hello, but entreat him as a father. So this is not even someone like you're just someone who is elder. Don't correct them and try to embarrass them. Or rebuke not an elder, but entreat him as a father, and the younger men as a brethren. How about this? The elder women as mothers. So treat elderly women as your mother. Okay? See, honoring the hoary head. The younger as sisters, with all purity. Honor widows that are widows indeed. But if any widow have children or nephews, let them learn first to show piety at home and to requite their parents. Okay, to have respect for that, or go back with the parents. For that is good and acceptable before God. Okay. So after they prove themselves and things like that, okay, still you're going under that covering, the one who is before you. You have that shield. If you're honorable, if you're righteous, you can do that. They can still cover you. They can still help you, still bring you back. I remember I was in a real bad way. I mean, financially, everything had fallen apart, period. Just fallen apart. I had my wife, I had my little baby daughter and all of that. And I had to humble myself, almost have my head in my hand, and had to go back to my mother for a little bit till I get back on my feet. I had to say, hey, Mom, look, things are not working out right now financially. I can barely get it out of my mouth. And she was like, of course you can. Come on home. Stay as long as you like. Now, I said, no, Mom. 6 months and I'm done. 6 months and I'm out of here. Do you need help with anything? She said, no. Stay here as long as you like. Save up your money so that you can go. But you don't have to go. She treated my wife as like a daughter. We gave her honor. We have respect. And you want to know something? I didn't know it at the time. But I did stay there with my mom. And that happened to have been the last year of her life. So I had the opportunity to rekindle the relationship with my mother. That's the opportunity that I had. And I listened. And I gained wisdom from her. I was able to just be with her a little bit long. See, life got so busy and I was doing my own thing. I was my own man. I got a wife, I got a daughter. I'm living, I got to do my thing. Didn't make a whole lot of time Didn't make, I was so busy. In fact, my wife at the time, when it was time to visit my mother, it's oftentimes her idea. Hey, let's go visit mom. Let's go visit mom. Stuff like that. But no, I got too busy. Too busy. And to me, I think the Most High stopped that, slowed me down, said, wait a minute. Honor the hoary head. And so I got stopped way down. To where I actually needed my mother. I actually needed her. I had to go back to her house. And I needed her. But in that gift, I got one more year. And I had that year with my mother. And we connected and we did things. We sit there, we played board games, we talked, we did certain things. And maybe it was something that she knew, but I didn't know. Because she wanted to do things with me that we hadn't done before. And she would ask out of nowhere, out of the blue, son, come with me. Let's go take pictures. All right. Oh, okay, mom, let's go do that. Hey, son, here, come play checkers with me. Okay, fine. She turned on the music. Hey, son, just dance with me. Honor the hoary head. Will you do that? Will you honor your mother and father? Do you know what is going on here? See, you and I don't know what tomorrow brings. We have no clue, no idea, because we think sometimes we just have it figured out. It's about me. It's about I'm focusing on what I want to do and what I'm going to. You don't know. He's probably trying to slow you down, give you some wisdom that's going to come, maybe not by revelation because you figure it out, but through someone. It could be through your parents. It could be through an elder. Someone's trying to pass something on to you, but when you slow down and take the time to get that little nugget that you need, I have to imagine my life. What if I didn't have that last year with my mother? No, I didn't enjoy being financially destitute for a moment. I didn't enjoy that. That wasn't fun at all. But I cannot trade that year. I wouldn't trade that opportunity. I had an opportunity to honor my mother and the hoary head at the same time because she was one in the same. We're in 1 Timothy. Let's go on over to Job. Let's go to Job. Job 42. Job 42. And when we get to Job 42, I'll tell you where I'm going to pick it up. In Job 42, I'm going to pick it up at verse 10. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house. And they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camel, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He had also 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Corinhapu. And in all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job. And their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this lived Job 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons, even 4 generations. So Job died being old and full of days. Died being old and full of days. And that is a blessing. And guess what? In his youth, God was pretty good to him until it was time for, Satan to buffet him and test him and all that. And he lost everything, including his health. Thank you. He lost everything. We know that. His children, his wealth, his health. He lost everything. But look at what it said. Look at what it said. He talked about all that he had. And it was talking about that the Lord blessed the latter end in verse 12. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. Let's keep that in mind. Your blessing could be at the end. You may say, oh, my life is not so good. It's not so great. But if you serve the Lord, guess what? He can bless you more at the end than in the beginning. You can come up with some really tough beginnings. You can have a hard life at first, and then all of a sudden, he can bless you more in the end than he did in the beginning. There's value in the hoary head. There's value in coming up at the end. There is value there, brothers and sisters. Let's go to our last place. Okay, let's go to our last place here. Titus chapter 2. Titus chapter 2. Okay, Titus 2. And we'll go first 3 verses in chapter 2. But speak thou these things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith, in charity, in patience. Okay, so he had a word for the aged men. What about the women? The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becoming holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they are teachers of good things. The aged men, the aged women. This is simply the order of things. Are we paying attention to that? This is the order of things. This is how that wisdom is passed on from generation to generation, from the aged to the younger. This is how we do it. This is the order of things. This is what the Most High wants from us. Will we listen? Will we take heed? It's up to you, brothers and sisters. So, I hope someone has got something from this lesson. This has been part 1 of Honoring the Hoary Head. Join me next time for part 2 of Honoring the Hoary Head. Until next time, search the scriptures and prove all things. Shalom, Israel.